Hello, everybody. That song's titled Tapping. Listen to a little of it on this special night.
You were tapping on my head.
Tapping on my head.
Is there something that I didn't do right?
Whoa.
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to write.
Yeah.
You were tapping in the nighttime.
Yeah.
Tapping all day long.
Baby,
you just won't hear a sweet song.
Want to hear a sweet song?
You just want me to sing again.
Do you want me to sing again? Ooh, yeah, yeah. This is Charles Holt. I'll tell you more about him in a minute.
You were tapping on my heart.
Yeah,
Tell me, what is the plan?
What is the
Tell me how to heal my
Love this song.
mind. Tell me how to walk this land. You were tapping in the nighttime.
Yeah.
Tapping all day long.
All day
Baby,
long.
I am the song of freedom. And now the voice of soul.
Men and women,
Children, love one another.
love one another. Men and women,
And children who sing for the rivers men. And children who sing for the mountains. And children who sing for the land. Oh, women and children who sing for
Wow.
the dead.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? I love that. That's my friend Charles Holt. A great singer, one of my favorite singers anywhere. You can, if you want this whole CD, it's titled I Am. And it's just full of wonderful lyrics, wonderful music. He has a range that's off the chain. A great guy. Just got to talking to him on the phone. If you want to get his CD, and I'll play more of it toward the end, go to www.charlesholtproductions.com. That's Charles Holt, Holt, productions.com. Or ask me later, and I'll tell you more about it. Love that song, love his music, love his spirit. Well, Happy New Year and Happy New You. That's going to be the theme of tonight, and that's really the theme of what I'm believing for this entire year, 2013. You can get the Daniel's Fast, which I'll tell you more about in just a moment. You can actually download it, the information on it from my site. And we'll be talking about it all this month, off and on. And then in the month of February, we're going to talk about love and relationships. Gina's going to be here with me. We're going to talk about some really critical issues that we've gone through in our 20 years of marriage. All of you that are dealing with issues with relationships, male and female, same gender-loving relationship, anything relating to relationships, family, children, but particularly love between husband and wife, or a boyfriend and girlfriend, or however it is. We're going to talk about the issues that we've dealt with, and you're going to love that. But tonight we're going to talk about a happy new year and a happier, more fulfilled and fulfilling and satiating new you. And the Daniel's Fast. That's part of a happier you, a healthier you, living a more pure and palatable life. And I'm going to present to you some things that I know are going to help you with your physicality, with your spirituality, with your mentality, how you think, how you feel. Let me ask you a question. Is your body a cemetery for dead animals? Do you think you can live 21 days without meat, just eating fruits and vegetables and seeds and grains and lentils and, beans and things like that? No meat at all. Can you do that? Can you survive that? Or are you addicted to meat and to dead animals? I know that sounds harsh and crude, and I don't mean to be that way at all. But I want to talk about some things that can begin you to a level of living and eating where you digest better, where you think more clearly, where your body responds to itself in a more harmonious and syncopated way, where your vibrations of health and wholeness extend into the universe and people around you know that you're better because you know that you're better and not bitter. So part of your happier new year will be a healthier new year, beginning with, of course, your thoughts, your beliefs, your words, and what you eat, that what you take into your body. We'll talk more about it in a minute. First of all, I want to thank God for and thank you for the countries that we reach while we stream. That's why it's so important that you stand with us and stay with us. Many of you are beginning to just slowly start sending a little support, $10, $20, $30, some as much as $100 a week or $50 a month or $151. Lady sends $150 a month. One lady she committed $100 a month and just sent $1,100 for the next 11 months. So I was very touched by that, and I am touched by any of your support. The UK tunes in, South Africa, India, Philippines, Trinidad, Tobago, the Netherlands, Sweden, Malaysia, Singapore, China, Brazil, the United Emirates, the United Arab Emirates are watching this program, listening to our words. Israel, Japan, we're planning a trip to Israel. 2014, we're going to go to the Muslim holy sites as well as the Jewish holy sites and the Christian holy sites, and then we're going to go up to Haifa to the world headquarters for the Baha'i faith, which is one of the most inclusive religions I've ever heard of. And we're just going to have leaders from all those different disciplines. So we're going to talk about how we can get along better on this planet. So people watch us in Croatia and Madagascar and the Virgin Islands and Jamaica and the Philippines and Germany and New Zealand and Belgium and Portugal, the Bahamas, and many more tune in each week. More are tuning in each week. So please stand with us. We need your support. We solicit your support. That's what keeps us going. We have a lot of exciting plans, including cruises and conferences and things that will help bring about peace on the planet, beginning with you experiencing your birthright of freedom and peace. Freedom from religious tyranny, from unreasonable dogma that has so crippled the culture. We've got to get past that. Even Christians, and many Christians, are stuck. Even been afraid of me. But I hear from people from all kinds of backgrounds, particularly many in the Pentecostal background. We have a whole movement of Metacostalism. People who take a metaphysical approach to Scripture and to spirituality, but they still maintain their Pentecostal roots, their transcendence. We have Muslims and Jews and Methodists and Catholics. My wife's from a Catholic background. So all the religions, all the truths or trees in the garden are good, except the one that says any of the other ones are bad. That's the way I interpret that passage in Genesis. So anyway, go to the donate button and send some support, please. No gift is too small. You can actually do a revolving gift that every week. It's just like an offering in the church. This is my cyber church, my cyber congregation. I have a larger audience, I think, in cyber than I've ever had on the planet. And we've had thousands. But I think ultimately, not now, but ultimately we will have thousands watching and listening from all over the planet. And that's very important to me. Those of you in the Chicagoland, join me this Sunday, 2:30 to 4 at the Vincennes address, the location out south. We're going to be moving closer to the city as soon as we're able to find a place and space. We live closer to the city, right in the South Loop area. And there's thousands and thousands of people, a more diverse community, multicultural, cross-denominational, right here. And we want to be able to meet together regularly, or at least maybe weekly, or a couple of times a month, or every week. And in the New Dimension Chicago expression. We meet this coming Sunday, and I'm going to have a special guest, Opal Nesbitt, her husband Kendall. Opal, I think, is the niece of Mavis Staples. I just met her at Rainbow Push a couple of weekends ago, and oh my God, her singing off the chain. And her husband is a keyboardist. He plays. They're a beautiful couple. They love expanded consciousness. They're brought up in the church, and we had about a 45-minute conversation when we were in our cars the other day, and we talked through some things that I know you're going to love. And so she's going to be with me and he this coming Sunday. She's going to sing at least 2 songs. Her voice is off the chain. We were together at Cook County Jail with the Reverend Jesse Jackson on Christmas morning. And we ministered there and shook hands of the ladies and gentlemen there and had warm embraces. I met a young man, Hispanic brother who heard me preach years ago at the Jesus People Ministries in Miami, Florida. There he was, there in Cook County. And he's a believer, and we had a wonderful interaction. We're going to make arrangements with my friend Jesse Jones to be able to go back into the Cook County jail on a more frequent basis, at least several times a year, if not once a month. I don't know. Gina's going to go with me. We're going to do some transformational teaching and get where the men and women really are and just reach out to them. My brother spent 3.5 years in prison. I went to the prisons when he was there. This was 20-some years ago. And I have a great affinity for people who are incarcerated in any way. Many people are not behind jails. They're not in any prison, any physical prison, but they're in a mental one. You're walking the streets in prison. You're going to church every Sunday in prison. You pastor the church and are in prison. So our ministry is about bringing people to the birthright of freedom and liberty and peace of mind, peace of being. And that's what we talk about. So anyway, send your questions and comments to askcarlton@bishoppearson.com. Ask Carlton. That's the name my mama Niam gave me. askcarlton@bishoppearson.com. I got a question today from a young lady that heard me say that I don't believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God as much as it is the inspired word of man about God. The word inspired means God breathed. And I'll break that down in times and explain to her what I mean by that the Bible has come to us through thousands of years of hand-me-downs, 300 years before it was even canonized. We don't have any of the original copies. All we have are copies of copies of copies. So I'll break it down so she'll understand it, and you'll understand it. I'll write her back, and then we'll discuss these kinds of things on this live streaming consciousness network and broadcast. We're going to expand the network to bring others into it. Had a powerful conversation today with some brilliant gentlemen. Joe Flowers, Jesse Jones was there, and Larry Whitman was with me, and we just talked through some things that really brought chills to me as I thought about science. And we have a lot of ideologies. We're going to apply technology to ideology and give you teach you technologies to handle the different ideologies that we have. This is a cyber world. This is an automated world. There's a lot of technology in the world. We're going to tell you how to do some things with your phone. And, I don't have time to go into it all. But anyway, it's fascinating. As you can tell, I'm very, very excited. Well, Happy New Year and Happy New You. That is my declaration and decree for all of 2013. We're not just going to be happy. We're going to be happier in 2013. That ought to be your declaration. Let's step it up a notch or two or three. So when I say happier, I mean you'll experience the highest personal vibrations of spirit and of your unique humanity and your unique divinity ever. You're going to bridge humanity and divinity at a higher level of consciousness. You're going to be in more control of your life. You will explore the deepest reaches and regions and rhythms of yourself and of your soul, and both discover and recover aspects of your essence, that is, yourself, that you've not experienced or expressed before. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, and that means water. That's both a water and air sign. Aqua, water, Aquarius. There are 9 out of 10 living things live in water. And as we move into this next phase of consciousness, this next age of consciousness, this age of enlightenment, where we're not just going to believe, we're going to transcend belief into what we know. Then what I mean by what we know is what we experience and what we remember of our essence, of our ultimate being. Self is the source of consciousness, the agent responsible for your thoughts and actions as an individual, and or your substantial or substantive, your most substantive nature. The nature of your personhood, that which personifies of you into the universe and attracts certain alliances to you. It is the part of you that endures or is infinite without finish, and which unifies consciousness and awareness in time and over time. It unifies consciousness and or awareness in time and over time. In other words, it's an evolving experience and expression of yourself. You're going to have to listen to this more than once. Of course, you can always go back to the site and get the archives and hear me again, because I use a lot of words and I compact a lot into this 1 hour. And these are notes that I'm going to make available to you in ebook form as soon as I get the time to get it all together. But yourself is the collective or collected you, the assembled being, your integrated soul, all facets and aspects of you, not your fragmented or disjointed soul, but your whole and complete expression of being, of essence. This is the part of you that I'm declaring will not just have a happy, but happier, that is a more fulfilled and more fully expressed and more fully experienced new year. Simply because you will intentionally and deliberately reconnect with it, with yourself, with your soul, with your being, with your spirit. If you don't go within, you'll end up going without. That's what you can begin to express. Part of the Daniel's fast, which we hope to say a little bit more about in a minute. The part of you, when you get in that Daniel's fast, you're going to bring certain aspects of yourself into another discipline. Starting with just maybe 3 weeks, 21 days. Starting with 1. No meat. You're not a cemetery for dead animals. We dig our graves with our forks. Our eating habits have to change. Our speaking habits have to change. Our thinking habits, our belief systems need to shift so that we can make room for not just what we believe, but for what we know in the deepest recesses of our soul. You know so much, but your belief system sometimes overruns what you know. You don't really get to know what you know because you're busy handling what you believe. And beliefs are hand-me-downs. But knowledge is transitional. Knowledge is transmutable. Knowledge is transformable and transforming. And you came here from wherever we come from in that pre-incarnate existence or reality. You came here fully aware, but you forgot. We all struggle with spiritual amnesia. We simply forget. And in our amnesia, we panic when something comes into our lives, into our experience that we forgot we signed up for. Because everything that we go through, we signed up for. However painful or pitiful, pathetic or prophetic it may seem. There is a reason for every experience you have. So you might as well embrace what you're experiencing, because what you're experiencing is what you embraced. Choose where you are, because where you are is what you chose. You can unchoose it and go forth. But where we are is where we are right now. So it is what it is, and it is what it ain't. So don't let 2013 come and go like it's just another year. Grab life by the horns and take control. We're not victims of circumstances. We are victors over them. This is your year to shine brighter and more lucently than ever. And you will. In fact, we're going to do it together. You're on your way to enlightenment. Let's meet each other together in consciousnness. Again, welcome to 2013, a year of personal revelation and revolution. The number 13, actually in biblical numerology, has to do with the number 8. 8 is the number of new beginnings. 13 is the number of revelation and revolution. Because you revolt against things that have held you in bondage so long simply because you didn't know that you could be free. Institutions will be revolting. The business world, the religious world, the domestic world, the political world. 2013, you're going to see a lot of shapings, a lot of revolts, because revelation has come. Remember, apocalypse does not mean doom and damnation and disaster. Apocalypse, calypsis in Greek, pulling off the cover. It is a time of revelation. It's a time of evolution. It's a time of revolution. That is, you revolt from things that have held you in hostage for so long. Much of that is based in religious beliefs. We're dealing with at least 2,000, as Christians, we're dealing with at least 2,000 years of entrenched indoctrination. And we've not really been happy. Ask yourself, are you enduring? Are you enjoying? We've learned how to endure, and we've forgotten how to enjoy. Even relationships. Even with your children, with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, your lover, your partner. How do you deal with that? How do you be happy? Somebody said that the secret to a happy marriage remains a secret. One man, I heard a preacher say the other day, one man wore his wedding ring band on the right hand, on the wrong hand, for years. And people wonder why this guy never wore his wedding ring on the left hand, which most people do. That's considered the right hand to wear your band. So somebody asked him, "Why are you wearing your wedding band on the wrong hand?" And he said, "Oh, that's because I married the wrong woman." A lot of people feel like they are married to something that doesn't agree with them in spirit, or doesn't agree with them in choice, or in life, or in taste. And you just endured it. Well, let 2013 be a year when you reestablish your relationship with yourself and with your soul, and what really makes you happier. That's what we're going to be dealing with. This is a year when your innermost being will seek its more accurate self and experience an expression of your life that you've not known before. We no longer want to simply tolerate and be moderately content. We want to go to the next level of creating, recreating, and co-creating new realities for ourselves individually and for the global community collectively. We can do that. We have this power. This applies to jobs, relationships, like marriage, and friends, families. Some people don't get along with their parents. They don't get along with their siblings. They don't get along with themselves. And you've endured that. You've tolerated that. You've put up with a job you don't like. You might even have to change jobs, or need to, or be called to, or change positions in your job. Think about it. Imagine it. Fantasize about it, if you will. Image it and plan it. You can live a happier year because you want to, and because you choose to. So let's go to the next level, and let's move on beyond what people who are mediocre think. I don't want a year of mediocrity. I don't want a life of mediocrity. You were born an original, my friend says, John Madison. You're born an original. You don't have to die a copy. John Mason. Or were you, friend? You were born an original. You don't have to die a copy. I love that comment. So this coming year, I will not settle for tolerating so-called wrong decisions or choices in my life. There's no such thing. It just appears wrong due to inaccurate interpretations of certain more spiritual realities regarding your life decisions and what you think about them. Remember, when you change the way you look at things, as Wayne Dyer says, the things you look at change. So we're going to shift our perceptions. I am going to be a happier person because inwardly I am more happy than I've realized. And I'm going to excavate and interrogate and investigate and do some archaeological digs and find some ancient truths that have died or been buried and resurrect them. Many people didn't think we'd make it to 2013. They expected the world to literally end on December 21st, 2012. Well, it didn't. So now what? We must continue living, hoping, trusting, believing, and actually knowing, which means, remember, to experience what's hidden in the deepest recesses of your soul. You already know. And I'm here not so much to teach, but remind you of what you already know and have simply forgotten. That's why, as we sang that song, tapping on my heart and my head, knocking to open those doors, those compartments and apartments within your spirit that you've left untapped. You've not dealt with the deepest recesses of you. So as I said, 1 out of 10 living things lives in water. As we move into this age of water, of aqua or Aquarius, and air, mist, moisture, mysticism, things are going to come alive in you that have been dead in us as human beings for thousands of years. That's my interpretation. Something is coming alive. Right now you feel restless, almost pregnant, almost as if you're having birth pangs. Finances and relationships and drama and trauma all around, and you're some of you are having great anxiety. You don't sleep well, or you don't sleep deeply. All of that's going to shift. Let's join together with collective consciousness and make it happen. Hearing these words, I'm releasing them into the universe, and you're repeating them with me in consciousness. So this shift will take place. You will rest better. You will be better. You will become better. You will evolve into your better, not bitter, but betterness. You're going to forgive. Some things you're going to forget. But real forgiveness is forgiving even what you can't forget. Forgiving while you still remember. That is possible. Just the poison is taken out of it. The resentment is taken out of it. So let me ask you though, even though the world didn't end in 2012, let me ask you, how would you live if you thought this was your last year? The last one alive? How would you live? What would you change? What would you ignore? What would you employ or wage as an objective in life, and why? I can't answer those questions for you. What would you change? If you thought this was the last year you'd be on the planet, what would you change? What would you do? How would you live? And why? That's a powerful thing. Write it down and think about it. And as you're going through this time of, I set apart the first month of the year, and I've done this for 30 some years. I don't eat a lot in the first month of the year. And when I do eat, I do the Daniel's fast, which I'll tell you more about. And I don't eat any meats. Not even fish. Just grains, fresh salads. You can have some wonderful, marvelous salads with, I like olives and, of course, tomatoes and onions and good romaine lettuce, because the other lettuce, iceberg, has no nutritional value at all. And I drink more water. You should do this all the time. I'm getting more and more and I love me a neck bone, okay? I actually cooked some chitlins for my mom over the holidays. I love pork. I love beef. I haven't eaten much beef in the last several years. We do fish and chicken as a family. But I'm getting further and further away from meat because I'm not a cemetery for dead animals. That's what we've become. Again, we dig our graves with our forks. Too much high blood pressure, too much intestinal indigestion. A lot of people with pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, sugar diabetes, heart attacks, heart failure, congestive heart failure. There's a lot of things that we bring on ourselves by what we eat, what we think, what we speak, what we believe. Dr. Deepak Chopra, a precious man, and I spent precious time with him. We appeared together on, I think it was Nightline. He writes in his book, and he sent me a whole box of books some years ago. And I love his writings. I love the way he thinks. But he wrote in his book, Magical Mind, Magical Body, there are galaxies and stars all over the universe that cooperate together by a metaphysical rhythm. If we could match the rhythms of our minds, souls, and bodies with the divine rhythm of the universe, then our knowledge would expand beyond religious limitations, and our consciousness would ascend into a dimension of supernatural reality. I said it loud. You want me to say it again? There are galaxies, says Dr. Deepak, and stars all over the universe that cooperate together by a metaphysical rhythm. If we could match the rhythms of our minds and souls and bodies with the divine rhythm of the universe, then our knowledge would expand beyond religious limitations, and our consciousness would ascend into a dimension of supernatural reality. Some of us like to believe that we are created in the image and likeness of God, or of divine mind, the more accurate reality, and that our very life and being is the unstoppable and unconquerable vision and virtue of God, or some source of force beyond, both beyond and within us. I sit here on Thursday nights writing what I'm going to say to you, because a lot of this is going into books. And I'm amazed at the energy and the illumination that comes to me when I'm thinking about you and what I'm going to say to you in this one little hour period. I've got 30 more minutes to talk to you. I'm writing so quickly, it's just flowing through me. Sometimes I'll go to a book and put a quote in here or something like that. But when I listen back and think back and read what I wrote at the moment, I know it's coming from a divine resource that I've just awakened in me, that it is awakening in me, coming alive, being alerted, not alarmed, but alerted inside of me. This stuff is mystical. It's intellectual. It's scholarly. It's academic. But it's spiritual. And it's practical. And it can change our lives. And we don't get it all the first time. We have to keep looking. Went to see Django the other night. My wife and I went together. And it's riveting. It's pretty graphic, some of the violence in it, but that's not the focus of the movie. It actually brings healing, particularly to African American men and people, but particularly men who have held grudges for many, many years and got a kind of relief in that. There's a lot of discussion about it. And there was a slight bits of humor. Jamie Foxx is a comedian. He can make you laugh, but he wasn't the one that made you laugh. Other things happened. A spoonful of sugar sometimes makes the medicine go down. Is that Mary Poppins? But it was interesting. If you go in there with an open mind, you can learn something about history, about culture. Does it make you hate? It actually makes you forgive, not forget. You forgive and resolve some issues. And we realize how far we've come since those days. Even the N-word used is, I heard that all my life coming up. It wasn't shocking to me because my mom and them was saying it. My daddy was saying it. It was kind of cool. You find a lot of older people, they've used that term. And the poison wasn't in it as it is with some who speak it outside of the culture, who don't understand what it means to us. But I'm expanding my consciousness about everything, and I'm learning from everything. Learning how to express and experience myself in everything. It's very, very powerful. When I talk about God, I'm not talking about so much a personal God, but a powerful principle of good, of love, of intelligence that transcends religious doctrine or dogma and is not defined by or confined to it. That's kind of my expanded consciousness way, or my new thought way of talking, my metaphysical way of talking about God or referring to God. God is bigger than the religious box we've crammed it into. Even when you refer to God as Him, you're limiting God to sexuality or to gender. Even if you're going to use the scriptures, Scripture says that God created both male and female out of itself. Does that mean God was bisexual? Had male and female in itself and created both? That's a whole other subject, isn't it? So I refer to God as rhythm and vibration and in the farthest reaches and rhythms and regions and reaches of consciousness. There is a reality that some of us describe as God. But even that puts limitations on it because different people have different versions and visions of God. I don't know that I believe in a God or the God, just God. The infinite God, the one that cannot be defined and can barely be described, but can really be experienced. And I think experiencing God is more than, and expressing your God self is more than defining God or even describing God. If you must describe God in the way you live. Not what you say verbally, but what you live spiritually and practically and morally. How you express your divinity in the universe. It comes out of you, through you, to you, and as you. This is just a new way of looking at things. What we're trying to build here in Chicago and be here in Chicago is a multicultural spiritual community that's radically inclusive and expresses unconditional love. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. My concept that I share is shared by many, many millions, but it's still new to more millions. So church folk see me both as Bishop Carlton Pearson and Azusa. But it's really now Carlton Pearson and Inclusa. It's inclusion. Having dialogue and demonstrating love with people with whom you may not agree exactly. That we don't have to go along to get along. We can mind many of the same things without having the same mind about everything. My wife and I don't even have the same mind about everything. Remember, I tell you often that the word agreement in Greek is the word symphoneo, where we get the English word symphony. Symphony doesn't mean to sound the same. Doesn't even mean to sound alike. It just means to sound together. The thinker, thoughts are powerful. They're creative. They're inventive. You change your mind, you change your life. Get in control of what you think. And not just what you feel. Because the universe doesn't judge you based on what you feel, but by what you think about what you feel. And what you think about what you think about what you think about what you feel. So I'm a thinker, and I'm evolving. I don't come to a lot of conclusions. I like my mentor was Oral Roberts, and I used to hear him say, I don't know how to arrive. I just know how to keep on going. So if in fact creation created itself, including the world and us in it, then you and I are part and parcel of that creation, and we have an unbeatable and undefeatable power within us, through us, around us, and as us. So turn to your soul and self and repeat it constantly. I am powerful beyond measure. Get used to it and use that power. Get used to the power and use the power. Use it for good and for its benevolent purpose imparted to you, through you, as you, as well as for you. You're powerful beyond measure. You came here as a God, with a little g, as a divinity. You are part of divine mind and divine mentality. We're all divinities. That there's a shadowy expression of energy on the planet that causes you to forget your divinity. That's why you feel frustrated and alone or unfulfilled. That's the only time we feel that. It's when we forget that we are divine and that we are deities. Jesus even said to his disciples, is it not written in your laws that you are God? Ye are gods, and little g's, that you are divinities. My son, who is 18, my daughter, who is 16, is part and parcel of me. They're not me, but they're of me, and of my wife Gina, their mother. But they have our biology. They have our genes and our chromosomes and our blood. The child has the father's blood, actually. They've got my blood running through them. They have our genetic makeup. My son and my daughter, our son and our daughter, are part of us. Just like you are sons and daughters, we're all sons and daughters of God. And of good. And of essence. And of illumination. And of enlightenment. And of awareness. And of consciousness. And of elevated soul actualization. Oh my gosh. Powerful. Powerful. So repeat the phrase to yourself and to a neighbor if there's somebody watching with you. Travis, if you have a group in your house tonight or wherever you are, I hope you do if you're tuned in tonight. Say to each other or to yourself, you have an unbeatable and undefeatable power within you, through you, around you, and as you. And so do I. If you're alone, say, I have an unbeatable and undefeatable power within me, through me, around me, as me. Say it. Write it down. Believe it. Confess it. State it. Think it. Eat it. As you go through that meatless diet, take some olives or something and formulate that term and then eat it. Take some carrots and bananas and raisins and nuts and just play with it a little bit and make some sentences or put the word prosperous or mystical or aware or abundance in letters, in fruit or in vegetables, and little cherry tomatoes or something, and then eat it. And do it ritualistically. Do it as a rite of initiation. Do it meditatively. Do it prayerfully. Do it pensively. Do it contemplatively. And become what you eat. The nutrients of the earth, of the soil, and of the soul of the universe. Because we are its intelligence. Science means knowledge. Conscience or conscience is to co-know what creation knows and what creation is. to be that and to become that and to evolve as that and revolve around that and in that. Yes, these are words that are not often used the way I'm using them, but they're for you. And even if you don't understand it, when you hear this, I'm releasing energy into you and around you that's going to transform your life. You don't always have to understand, but you do absorb while you observe these sounds that are coming out of my mouth through my vocal cords, generated out of my spirit, go into you and are released in the universe. And they release accuracy to you. Yes. And they are dispelling ignorance. That doesn't mean lack of knowledge. It means that you are ignorance. You are ignoring what's right there in front of you through amnesia. You're not paying attention to it. For where there's tension, there's attention and then intention. So sometimes what I say creates a little tension in you. You know, your belief system says, whoa, that God, what are you saying? Well, that tension causes attention, focus. And that out of the attention becomes intention. And you become more deliberate in your living. You really are in control. So when we say Happy New Year, we're saying Happy New Cycle. We're referring to a normal, natural, and universally recognized action and or routine in the earth. We're talking about 12 months, 365 days of planetary and global science that never changes. However, when I say Happier New Year, I'm referring to the personal pronoun as well as the verb that you are, the action that you are, the occurrence, the activity, the actively presently occurring reality that you, capital Y-O-U, are. And the Y-O-Universe that you are creating, recreating, and co-creating. Tell yourself or somebody that's in the room with you, I am happening right now. I am occurring right now. This is not an illusion. This is revolution and revelation. I am owning and honoring me, my truth, and my reality. I'm owning and honoring my occurrence in the universe, the dynamic system that I am. That's what you're doing. That's what's happening. Remember, we're not just created, we are creative. And we are literally creating. Happiness is a circumstantial word. It suggests conditions, attitudes, and situations. It comes from the word happen, which literally means to occur, or to appear, or to come into existence by chance. My emphasis tonight is that we can learn to transcend the theory of chance and advance to the reality and option of choice. Doing so will make us happier. Happier than what may or may not be happening in our lives. Because your joy goes beyond what's happening. Your happiness is connected directly to joy and not just what's happening or not happening in your life. You have to transcend what's happening. You might have some debt. You might have marital dissatisfaction. You might not be comfortable being single, or you're worried that you'll never get married, or some of you are worried that you have to stay married. Some of you are frustrated on the job. Okay, when you experience happiness or a happier new year, you're transcending what is happening or not happening, but you will influence that by consciousness and in consciousness. I'm putting the ball back in your court. Happier is an evolving and increasing or improving terminology. See? You need to say to yourself, I'm doing pretty good and I'm getting better at it all the time. When somebody says, how you doing? My grandfather used to say, pretty good, and you? Well, sometimes I say, though, how you doing? I'm pretty good, and I'm getting better at it all the time. I'm pretty and good, and I'm getting better at it all the time. I'm getting better at it every day. Happy means fortuitous or fortunate or favored or blessed. I like this definition for happiness. Notably fitting, effective, well adapted. That's when I'm happy. Adapted to life and to the adventure of living as well. Happiness is a mental or emotional state of well-being characterized by a positive or pleasant emotion ranging from contentment to intense joy. A variety of biological, psychological, religious, and philosophical approaches have striven to define happiness, and identity and identify its sources. There's all kinds of research groups, and including positive psychology and scientific methods. But you experience happiness based on what you cause to happen in your life. You can have a good life, a better life, a more fulfilling, a more satiated life. But you must do that deliberately. You must do that intentionally. You must do that by choice more than by chance. I hope you're hearing me. Philippians 4:12 says, I know how to be, or what it is to be, abased. That means to be at the bottom or at the base, or to be in need, Paul says. And I know what it is to abound, means to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. Whatever it is, I transcend it to another religious posture, a spiritual posture, not religious, a spiritual positioning of my mind, of my attitude, of my disposition. Position, posture, disposition. Albert Einstein said there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other as if everything is. There's only two ways to live your life, he says. One as though nothing is a miracle, and one as if everything is. And I can live both. Miracle as a common occurrence, or everything as an uncommon occurrence. Either way, I want to live my best self. Let me say something briefly about the Daniel's fast. And remember, you can download this on your from our site and learn more about it if you want to. The purpose of spiritual fasting is to consecrate. That means to set aside a specific period of time to draw closer to God in you, expressing itself to you, through you, as you. Now, I have this on the site, and I want you to download it so you can know more things about what I'm saying. This fasting is a sort of a devotional expression of returning to your original spiritual consciousness in relationship to God, the health and wholeness of your body, temple. How you, and the scripture says your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. A powerful side benefit of fasting is improvement in health, elevated consciousness that most people experience. It clears out your mind. You stop, it's difficult to digest heavy meats, particularly beef. And people are belching and burping and doing other things because the acid in your body is not like the acid in your belly like it is for a carnivorous animal, a lion or an alligator or a bear. We are herbivores as human beings, not carnivores. Our teeth are not sharp like, we don't have the fangs like carnivores do, like we can tear flesh. Carnivores, they don't really chew, they just bite up and down and then swallow. And they have powerful acids that can digest antlers and hoofs and bones and flesh. We don't have that high intensity of acidity in our bellies. So we're not really designed to digest meat. Only fruits and vegetables. The calm nature of a deer, an antelope. We're to have that spirit, not a carnivorous, angry, vicious, attacking, carnivorous thing. I think that's some of these kids in the street are so violent because they eat too much meat. And the meat has been enhanced, growth enhancement and pesticides and steroids, and it making the kids anxious and having a lot of anxiety. The Daniel fast is a plant-based eating plan with the only beverage being water. If you can go through a whole month like that, or just a week, or maybe a day, and then if it gets too much for you, you can have a little juice or something like that, and that's okay. But when the bodies that God designed and created are fed the good quality foods created especially for it, improvements in health result. We are created as herbivores to eat the fruit of the trees in the garden. That was the original document. The high fiber in the fruit, vegetables, the whole grains cleanses the body and improves digestion. It's not uncommon for cholesterol levels to drop when you eat these plant-based foods. The blood sugar levels balance out better when you eat plants, vegetables, and fruits, and nuts and grains. You can lose weight. Many people get on this Daniel's fast, and in 21 days, weight just falls off of them. There's a lot of good things that can happen as a result of the Daniel fast. You got to go someplace and get what we call colonic irrigation, where you clean your colon. You have in your colon, there are several feet of it. And in there, you have candy bars that you ate when you were 10. Stuff that sticks to the lining and putrefies in your colon. Sometimes you can smell people's colon on their breath. Sometimes you're embarrassed to tell them. I can tell when a person needs a good colonic cleansing. And you can eat, take foods that like bentonine, that clear out and cleanse the colon deeply. And you drink lots of water, extra amounts of water. And you do the normal time that you'd be stuffing yourself. You meditate, put on some nice music, play something that feels good to you and sounds good to you. And that takes you back, to a different mode and different model of being. Meditate. Anytime you make a significant change in your diet or exercise, of course, you need to consult your professional, like a doctor. Also, if you have special health needs, consider adjusting the eating plan to meet those requirements while maintaining the other restrictions for the fast. You can do all of that, okay? All fruit, fresh, frozen, dried, juiced, or canned. That's the way you can do the fruit. All vegetables, that's part of the Daniel fast. Fresh, frozen, dried, juiced, or canned. Preferably fresh, but a vegetable. There's certain nutrients involved and contained in them. All whole grains, barley, brown rice, oats, quinoa, millet, whole wheat, all nuts and seeds, almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, peanuts, pecans, pine nuts, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, nut butter, or peanut butter, also included. All legumes, canned or dried, black beans, black-eyed peas, pinto, cantanelli, garbanzo, chickpeas, Great Northern, kidney, lentils, split peas. These are good things, even if you have to cook some of them. And some of those you would cook, okay? So you don't use too much seasoning and not a lot of sodium and things like that. You want to stay about as fresh and natural as you can. All quality oils. This is another thing you could include. Canola, coconut, grapeseed, olive oil, peanut oil, sesame oil. You can cook with those kinds of things. Beverages, mostly distilled water, filtered water, spring water. We use Kangen water. I have my wife and I, we bought a machine. It was pretty expensive, a few $1,000s back. And we've been drinking Kangen water for the last 5 or 6 years or more. So then you other herbs and spices, little salt, sea salt if you use salt, pepper, seasoning, soy products, tofu. These are things you can season things with. I'm going to be eating some soy-based catfish nuggets when I start eating solid foods. And Dr. Brinson, as a professor, has invented this Korean Harmony, and I love their foods. It's soy that has no estrogen in it. It's soy that's been treated, but it's pure, and a lot of it is gluten-free, and you fry it just like with the cornmeal, and it tastes just like fish. It's catfish nuggets. You can have barbecue chicken wings that's made out of soy. They're coming up with something that tastes something like neck bones. I asked them to, and we've tested all these things and eaten all these things, and I'll be presenting them more later. I might even turn this camera around into the kitchen, and I'll stand in the kitchen and we'll cook. from right in here, and I'll create some delicacies together over the next month. Maybe we'll do it one of these times. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to live happier lives because we choose to live happier lives. We make a decision to be happy and happier and to be more fulfilled and to enjoy various aspects of our lives that we haven't in the past and haven't previously. So these are facts quickly about eating violent foods. Meat is the dead flesh of animals, fish, or birds. Remember that. Putrefaction, that means decay, begins in all flesh from the moment of death. It starts decaying and putrefying. Sometimes you eat meat that has been dead for weeks. You don't know it. Or for months. You don't know it. But putrefaction and decay has already begun. The process of decomposition results in various poisons collecting in the dead animal tissue. And we eat it all the time. We fry it, we bake it, we boil it. We don't realize it. I'm not trying to be harsh or legalistic. I'm just telling you the scientific facts, okay? Most cases of food poisoning are the result of eating bad meat or bad products, such as canned meat, shellfish, and I love shrimp and lobster, But I'm actually eating dead things, and there's very often food poisoning comes from that. The longer the time from the death of your meat to your mouth, the more dangerous it is to you. And you never really know. When you do eat meat, you should eat organically grown, and fed. But we're trying to get you away from that, even organically grown, because I promote non-violent foods and non-violated foods. They've not been violated with pesticides and growth enhancements and steroids. I'll tell you more about the non-violent plant-based and non-violated foods. They'll bring much greater health to your body. For the most part, meat contains a high proportion of cholesterol, an important causative factor in thrombosis, high blood pressure, heart disease, etc., with no lecithin to balance it. On the other hand, plants are naturally cholesterol-free. So we encourage you to try it, just maybe for the first 3 weeks of this month, or just try 1 week. But eventually you can get into the habit. And remember, I like bacon and fried chicken and shrimp and lobster and neck bones. Like anybody, pig feet. I was raised on all that stuff. But I gradually learned how to separate myself from it as a habit and start eating vegetables. Carnivores, violent animals, have a short bowel to enable them to expel rapidly the putrefactive flesh. While humans, a non-violent being, has a long and complicated alimentary tract to enable plant nutrients to be slowly and properly taken up. Carnivores have a different type of intestinal bacteria than do herbivores. Lions and tigers and bears, these animals have a different type of intestinal bacteria than herbivores. Humans fall into the latter category. A different type of intestinal bacteria. Carnivores have long, sharp teeth. Humans have flat teeth, suitable for consumption of fruits, cereals, vegetables, nuts. Violent food consumption not only creates anger and rage within our bloodstream, but also leads to a stressful mental disposition as well. I think that's what happens to a lot of these kids, kidding each other in the streets. Animals that tear their way into other animals' flesh use their razor-sharp and fear-producing teeth formations to subjugate and kill their prey, to obtain their violent meals and nourishment for survival. Mother Nature has equipped these violent animals, these lions and wolves and tigers, to be non-compassionate and full of anger and rage when it comes to eating the food. Just go to YouTube and watch it. I've seen that. It's kind of interesting, but the food that they eat also create this vicious cycle of setting into motion an insatiable desire to want to kill another animal when hunger pains overtake them. On the other hand, non-violent animals, cows, horses, deer, when hunger pain arise in them and surge within their bodies, they're motivated to a calm and less angry way to eat from a more peaceful and less stressful producing source. Plant-based foods, grass, leaves, fruit, vegetation, etc. This is what we as humans were designed to eat. We should never forget that stress, anger, and rage are necessary conditions that produce violent syndromes and violent animals for their survival purposes. While non-violent consuming animals, cows and horses and deer, as well as human beings, need the opposite conditions within their composition in order to pursue non-violent foods. I got to bring this to a close. So we promote both non-violent and non-violated foods, free of pesticides, growth enhancements, and steroids. We are cleansing and detoxifying these bodies. The body, the mind, the spirit. This is all of a sacred endeavor. It's part of your spiritual discipline. So enjoy who you are while you are becoming. Peace is possible. And we must all learn to enjoy it and to experience it and to express it in its full way of being. Tapping. My friend Charles Holt. Tapping on your brain, tapping on your heart, tapping in your mind, knocking on the door to gain entrance and access to your spirit. That's what this is all about. I'm Carlton Pearson. You're listening to Streaming Consciousness. Stay with us, stand with us, support us. I'm going to help you. That's why we're here. Remind you of your better self, not your bitter self, your better self. I'll be talking more about the Daniel fast and the disciplines of self-actualization the rest of this month. Next Thursday, I'll be back. Is there something that I didn't do right?
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to know.
Something that I need to write.
Something that I need to write.
You were tapping in the night time.
Yeah.
Tapping all day long. Baby, you just won't hear sweet songs.
Write me at Ask Carlton. BishopPearson.com. Let me hear from you. I love you. I believe in you. Let's help not only make a difference in the world, but make the world different. Would you join with me? Would you stand with me? Would you stay with me? We can do this. Whoa, yeah.
You were tapping on my heart.
Tapping on my heart.
Tell me, what is the plan? Tell me how to heal my mind.
Come on, Charles.
Tell me how to walk this land.
Walk this land.
You were tapping in the night.
Oh.
Tapping all day long. Baby, I am the song of freedom. And now the voice of so many men.
I like this.
And women. And children. Who love one another. And children who sing for the rivers men. And children who sing for the mountains. And children who sing for the hunger and women and children who sing for the dying women and children who care for all people. Women and children, I sing for people.
Charles Holt.
I sing for
I am. He's here for you. I am too. You want to know more about him? Ask me and I'll get that information to you. I'll put it on my site, so you can know how to contact him and get this entire CD, which I know you'll love. God bless you. God be you. See you next time.
You were tapping on
Goodbye now.
my head. Must be something that I'm doing right.